Welcome to Sow Chatty. I'm Kerry from Dog on the Plot.
And I'm Claire from the Farmyard Garden.
Hi, Claire. How are you?
I'm all right, thanks, Kerry. I'm buzzing. I'm feeling more festive. I don't know how. It's grey, dark, miserable outside, but for some reason, I am feeling more festive. No doubt spurred on by the fact that you have that poinsettia and a beautiful Christmas tree behind you. Not to
I,
mention, look who's on your jumper.
I
You've
have
got some.
totally upped my game.
You have festive sheep on the fair aisle. Yes,
Yes.
looking beautiful, Kerry.
Thank you. Yes, I'm at home this week, so I'm not at Liam's. I trimmed my tree last night in readiness for the show. I have got a poinsettia. I did not buy it. I mentioned in last week's episode that I was hoping that Liam would be bringing me an advent calendar back from shopping, but unfortunately they had sold out. So he brought me back a poinsettia instead,
Oh,
which was
no.
very nice. Yes. So
Yes.
happy with that. So yeah, Christmas jumper on, Christmas mug.
Oh,
A rather special one with a
that
little
is a
miniature
very special one.
schnauzer.
So I'm just back with my Sow Chatty mug,
Oh God,
but
what's she done
with
to it now?
l-
Oh, oh, Claire, next level. Oh my
look at
goodness, I
that.
love it.
Duncan said to me, "It
Oh.
looks like I've had it printed." He was very impressed with the bow on it. Yes, I
Now
did
you did
start.
that.
I did start on this side, and then realised that that's not the way I hold it, so I had to turn it around. So yes, we have a
And this is
garland.
all your handiwork. This is not
It
helped by
is.
Isabel, because we know
No.
Isabel is the artist in the family.
She's more of a digital artist, so I did that
Yes.
with chalk pens. So no, she didn't do that.
I'm very impressed, and I'm glad you didn't show me beforehand.
I know. It's good, isn't it? I impressed myself so much so I was like, can we design one? It's a bit late now for the website, but
It is probably,
it is
yeah.
very cute. I don't think I can top that now next week. So I think next week I'll move on to my actual Christmas mugs.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, speaking of Christmas, we've had some Christmassy things and some merchy things coming up on the community page. So we've seen some of our merch in the wild, which is great. Loving
great.
people sending in the photos of that. We've yet to see a tote bag in the wild. I would love to see a tote bag in the wild. I don't even have a tote bag yet. Do you? Do you have? No, we haven't even got the tote bag. So that would be like literally the first tote bag out in the world. And we also had some people putting up pictures of Christmas wreaths this week, and really fabulous ones. So Rosemary, absolutely gorgeous one. And then Donna's had the, what's it called? You know, the plant that goes really papery and has the little round seed heads. Honesty. I could not think of that. It's all got honesty within it and it looks so gorgeous. And then Liz sent us a tutorial of, it's not exactly a wreath because it's more round, but you use a potato and then you just stick all your bits into the potato, which I thought was a fabulous idea. And I had seen it on social media. It seems to be trending at the moment. But Liz said that she did it years ago when she was at college. So when she was doing floristry. So, you know, that idea has been around a while, but it seems to be having a bit of a resurgence at the moment. And I definitely want to give it a go. I'm going to use one of my green potatoes that wouldn't be good for eating.
That's a good plan. That's a good plan. I have lots, I don't know about you, but we have lots of holly with berries on this year, which we don't normally have. So I would quite like to give that a go. Maybe, Kerry, shall we both give a potato thing a go and show it for our show and tell next week?
Yeah, let's do that. That would be fun. And we'll have a bit of a wreath off.
Yes.
Who's got the best? Now, I pruned back my holly in the home garden really, really hard a couple of years ago. I think it has recovered now. I haven't noticed if it's got berries on, but the one at the plot, which I didn't even really register was there at the back of the plot. I saw it last week because I was cuddling a cat next to it. And there was all the holly. Ricky Rogers. And there was all the holly with the berries on. So I know I've got a supply. Now, of course, the other thing that's been happening in the community over the last week is the response to our giveaway. So the prunarbo's in its lovely case. Let's get it out, because this could be coming to one of you for Christmas. There it is.
Wow.
Not
it is an amazing
yours will be. Yours will
giveaway.
Be brand new. So we've had such a huge response to this giveaway, and we're so pleased. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that giveaway towards the end of the episode. So keep tuned for more news on our prunarbo giveaway. Okay. Claire, come on then. What's been hot in your garden this week?
It's hellebore season.
Oh,
so I have my
favorite
first
time of the year.
I love them. I love the hellebores, and the first hellebores are flowering around the garden, and I only have a few. It's making me think that I need more. And
yes, you definitely need more. Yes.
Yeah, they're so expensive though, aren't they? That's the problem.
They are. But there's such gorgeous colours. You need to have all the colours, Claire.
We do. We need them all. So yeah, the hellebores are out. So that's been amazing. So I'm really pleased to see those. What's hot in your garden this week?
My hellebores are looking okay. I haven't noticed any flowers yet, but the foliage is very nice, even though that should be dying back, and I'll cut that off probably January, February time to really show off the flowers. What hasn't come back is my yellow one. I bought a yellow one, which is just stunning. I know you're not a big fan of yellow, but this is like a muted kind of pale yellow, and it is really, really beautiful. So I might be looking out to buy another one of those. But my hot is that I've finally cleared away the arches.
Yay!
Yes. Now, during sort of September into October time, when all the flowers were still blooming and they were just growing through the tangles of metal, I was okay with it. I was like, it's a hot mess. That's why I named my video is a hot mess. But since we've had the frost and everything's died back, it just looked awful, really awful. And of course, it's like right at the front of the plot. So anybody walking by, that's the first thing they see. Not that there are many people left on the plot at this time of year, only as, hardened gardeners are still at it. Or, the people who haven't done all the work that they should have done like 2 months ago. Anyway, I finally got the arches pulled out from all of the mess and broken up. And it surprisingly went down to quite a small amount of metal that.
I'm sure that it took longer than it looked like on the video, but you took them down quicker and easier than I expected them to come down. I thought that everything was going to be kind of tangled together, and it was okay, wasn't it?
Yeah. Pulling them out was easy. I guess it was a bit harder when I was trying to disentangle the bamboo canes from the string and stuff. But actually, the thing that helped was that the string had started decomposing and rotting away. So everything just pulled really easily. So I'm very pleased to have done that. But that leads to my not, which is now the arches are out of the way, I can actually get in and do the clearing and the weeding. And there's a lot more of that than I would like at this time of year when it is wet and dark and miserable most days, it seems, although we seem to be having some nice sunshine today. Lots of clearing up to do. You had sunshine this morning, didn't you?
But briefly, and now it's raining again. Yeah.
No, it's really lovely here. We're not that far from each other. Perhaps the rain is winding its way towards me.
Well, I'd rather have the sun on its way towards me more fully. So I'm going for that one, please. Please.
So what's not in your garden?
The apple tree. So one of my patio apple trees that gave me beauty, and it's a golden delicious and my favourite apple, and it gave me the first fruits this year, and they were beautiful apples. As the antirrhinums have died back, I can actually see that there's some damage to the main trunk. I don't know whether it's where the union is for the graft or whether there's something going on there. In actual fact, one of the comments to my video said to make sure it's not canker. I'm not quite sure how to check. If it's on a branch, you can cut the branch and look inside to see if you've got the black ring in it. I mean, there's no way of looking when it's on the main trunk unless you actually chop it off. So it's not calloused around it in the way that I expected canker to look, but it is a concern. I need to keep an eye on it because obviously if it is canker, I don't want it to spread to any of the other numerous fruit trees that I have on the vegetable garden. So it could be that tree is going to end up being replaced, which I'll be so sad about because, as I say, it's given me the first fruits this year.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the things of planting a lot of trees in a close area, that if something does go wrong, there is that risk of it passing along. Where's your medlar tree then? Because we've been talking about medlars all week, haven't we? After I harvested some last week.
Well, my medlar is a tree, not a bush. Like you harvested those medlars from more of a bush variety, didn't you? Mine is growing as a single trunk tree, and it is on the orchard, so it is mixed into those on there.
Oh, okay.
And it does actually have a single medlar on it, but I've never seen medlars in the wild, so to speak, around here.
We were kind of lucky to find that tree at just the right point where they were bletted on the tree and nice, and there were enough to take off, but the majority were on the floor, and then it's not so nice to
no one wants them then.
There. Show and tell?
Well, my show and tell is not garden related. Well, it kind of is, but following on from talking about the tree and the decorations last week, I actually went to a garden centre this week, which is going to feature about other things. I mean, who'd have thought it? I met Jane from Jane's Growing Garden, and do you know, I didn't take a single bit of footage. We were that busy talking and just having so much fun. And Christmas shopping, we genuinely were looking for things for people that I forgot to get the camera out. But I bought some more Christmas decorations. So I know this one will pain you, but we have a pig's in blanket.
It's a pig in an actual blanket, though. If it was a pig wrapped in bacon, I would be a bit like. But
yes, it's not. It doesn't even look like bacon.
He's
does
just
it? No,
cuddled up. Yeah,
he's being cuddled up. He's all snuggly.
In a sanctuary, cuddled up.
We have a carrot who does actually remind me of is it Kevin? He reminds me of the Aldi carrot.
Aldi, yeah.
And then I have the sprout. That's cute, sprout.
I like the sprout.
And then look at the little Santa peas in a pod. Aren't they cute? So I will be putting those on this tree behind me, but I need some S-hooks to put them on here safely, really. And I forgot to bring those with me, so I left them here to show you.
I have all of those decorations on that tree. Everything but the pig in the blanket is on that tree. I love them. I think they're so cool. You can get them at Diamond Garden Centres, but we've seen them at other garden centres, haven't we, Claire?
Yeah.
And they had an extended range at the one we went to, and there was like a broccoli and things like that as well.
Some of the ones that I've seen did even have a beautiful mince pie. I mean, it looked very scrumptious. And I kind of want to order a few more now because they're very cute. They're very cute.
Well, I have a Sass & Bell decoration, Claire. I'm going to have to go get it off my tree. One sec. Clearly
that is a beautiful tree.
And people might remember that last week I coveted Claire's little shed ornament. And you only have to say one thing to Claire, and the next day you get a delivery. And now I have a little shed to go with my greenhouse. I did then try telling Claire, polycrop, but she's not taking that
That fell on deaf ears.
But...
I laughed at that one. I mean, to be honest, this is how impulsive I am. You're very welcome, but it's how impulsive I am that I completely forgot that I'd sent you that. So when you said you got a Sass & Bell decoration,
did you also register? Send me this jumper?
I did send you a Fair Isle jumper, yes, because I was debating whether you had a Christmassy enough jumper, so it was encouraging you to wear a Christmas jumper. It's like you've had all your Christmas presents before Christmas to enjoy during the festive period.
Yes. Well, I have enough. I think I've got enough Christmas jumpers to last us till the end of this season, but I'm not sure I actually have enough Christmas mugs, so I think I'm going to treat myself to a Christmas mug. That isn't telling you, Claire, to buy me a Christmas mug. I will go out and get one. But yeah, when I got my Christmas decorations out and I was getting out like the crockery and stuff, I was like, oh, I don't have as many Christmas mugs as I thought I did. And we've still got 2 more episodes after this one. So I need two mugs to get us through to the end of the year.
I have 2 Christmas mugs, definitely. In fact, I think I have 3, but I've got 2, so we're all right. But it's part of the reason why this creation was born. Well, one, because we'd only just launched our merch, so I didn't want to have people drinking out of their Sow Chatty mugs with us right now.
Yes,
and I'm not drinking out of mine. So, yeah, but next week I will have to turn to the Christmas mugs. A bit like I've had to take the Sow Chatty hat off and wear my own Christmas hats.
Oh, yeah, because Christmas hats.
I buy a lot of Christmas hats
really
to the point that I'm going to be, for this week's video, this is the only teaser you're getting, that I'm going to be having to swap hats during the video. Otherwise, you're not going to get all of my Christmas hats in before the end of the year.
Well, I had another show and tell, but I can't actually show and tell of it because I've eaten it. But I did want to mention the parsnip that I harvested last week, especially because we were talking about parsnips the week before, and we did a split screen last week of Claire's enormous, gorgeous parsnip and my little stumpy dumpy past it. But then this week I went and harvested a big boy myself. And I was
enormous.
So thrilled. And I really wish, not that we have to be competitive, Claire, but we'd measured them. Because it's hard to tell on the video. I had a couple of comments. I don't know if you saw, Claire. People were like, oh, I think that one might be bigger than Claire's. I was like, no.
It very well might
celeriac, which was like a baby next to yours.
I know, but then you said that I would have been disappointed if I'd harvested that, and I have to say I take slight exception at that because
I wonder. I thought that was probably not the nicest thing to have said.
Because I wasn't expecting it to be that big anyway. So, I was expecting what you harvested. That's bigger than what I've harvested over the previous season. So I'd have been extremely pleased with what you'd harvested. And I'm sure you were as well. I'm actually blown away by what I have harvested. And there's a pressure there, isn't there? Because what happened? What did I do? I don't know. What did I do to make them grow that big? Because I don't think it is, because other people haven't had them get that big. So I don't know how to recreate that next year. Is it a mixture of the hot weather, the watering, the manure in the bed? I mean, some things I can recreate, obviously, but other things not. And actually in my video this week, I talked about doing 2 beds, identical beds, one that had been mulched with wood chip and one that would be done traditionally. And I'm actually wondering whether to make those 2, you'll like this, Kerry, polyculture type beds. And I'm wondering whether to put a little row of celeriac in them so I can compare if they would grow in the wood chips as well as the manure. So we'll see.
I did look up and it said celeriac do like clay soil. So, we're not exactly spoilt with choice with the vegetables that enjoy our clay soil.
No.
So perhaps we'll just grow celeriac from now on.
Yeah. And I didn't plant them any differently, but they grew up from the ground, didn't they? They were sat on it. So they didn't have to fight through the soil. It's literally like AI. It's as though I've perched them on the ground, isn't it? They are the most bizarre things. I mean, I'm delighted with them. But as I say, I would have been delighted with yours. I was definitely not competitive over the celeriac.
I guess what in my head I was thinking is that if you harvested one my size now when you'd been getting those monsters, you would have been a bit like, what's this?
Oh, next year I'll be disappointed if I can't recreate it. But it's but from a pressure point of view, because it's all right having these things, but then you prove that they're a fluke because they literally are. I haven't done anything intentionally to try and improve the harvest. I grew them exactly the same way that I grew them last year. So we shall see what next year brings.
A lot of gardeners say that, don't they? That you grow the perfect cauliflower and it's like 1 year only.
1 year only, yeah.
My other bit of show and tell, again, can't actually show you, but was the puppies. There's been puppies on the plot this week, and I had to mention them so that we can put some footage on, Claire, because they are the cutest little things, and they totally distracted me from all the jobs that I needed to get done last week. But as I keep saying, there's no better interruption than a puppy interruption. So.
Definitely not.
Yeah, so this is Mark and my sister's new pup, Olive, and my cousin Becky, who we mention frequently on my channel and on Sow Chatty, her puppy, Willow. And they are sisters.
They're beautiful.
So it's very nice to have expanded the family and the dog on the plot family as well. Come on then, Claire, daft thing of the week.
Oh, Kerry, my daft thing of the week. I've been missing my Horry for weeks. So much so that it's getting to a point where I thought I'm going to have to admit that I can't find it, which was devastating because it was a beautiful gift for hitting 1,000 subscribers from Pammy at Garden of Weedon. And I thought, you got to look after something when it's especially a gift. So I was quite mortified that I couldn't find it. And then obviously it was there, cleared away the gladioli, all the nasturtiums had died back, and it was just there sitting at the end of the bed saying, hello, have you missed me? And so I'm delighted to get the Horry back. But yeah, that's my daft thing, is that's got to have been lost now for, a good few months. I think it's been stuck in the end of that bed since midsummer, really.
Yeah, if I'd lost my Horry, I would have been like lost myself because I use it so often. So yeah, but I do have, as we said last week, I do have 2. So one at home and one on the plot. So I've always got a backup if I do lose them. I also lost something on the plot. Well, failed to see something on the plot. When I was harvesting my loofahs, I really felt sure that I was missing like, I was sure there were more growing on that vine than I harvested. And I properly looked around and I moved stuff about and could I find it? And then yesterday I went to clear inside the greenhouse, and here's my only teaser for next week too. There it was. It was just sitting there in plain sight. So it must have been all under the tomato foliage and stuff. But unfortunately, if you leave a loofah like that and it's got wet and the frost has got to it, it does start to mold, and it not just go dry and brown, but actually moldy. But I have peeled it and it looks all right. And I had another one that had the mold on, and I peeled that one and washed it, let it dry. And I think those would be fine for using outside, like using, talk about washing greenhouses and things like that. Clearly, I rarely do that. But if I at some point decide to wash greenhouses, I think they would be a good thing for that. So I have kept them and thought I'll use them sort of in the garden and things like that. But they wouldn't be suitable for cutting up and making soaps out of, unless it was someone you didn't like. They were washing themselves with a mouldy loofah.
Talking about mouldy gourds, is anything happening yet with your birdhouse gourd?
Yeah, they're getting not good mouldy. In fact, it was just this morning I took 3 of those tiny ones from where I've been curing them and have had to throw them out. They were like actually rotting, not doing the moulding on the skin. But I think I've still got 2 of the small ones, and the big one is fine. It's fine, but it's still a beautiful light green. It hasn't got any mottling on it or anything yet. How about yours?
Well, it's hard to tell, isn't it? I think it's a process that we have to sit back and be brave and just see what happens. But I have got some that are mottling and going brown on the actual birdhouse gourd. And I'm guessing from what I've seen on YouTube that that's normal at the moment. I don't have any furry mold on anything. And I don't know if you should get that. And nothing feels soft. It's not gone soft and squidgy or anything like that. So I'm hoping that, touch wood, at the moment, we are on the right track. But obviously there's a long way to go before they'll be ready.
I think I knew these weren't great because they were rotting from the stem. It was like coming down the neck.
Coming down the stem.
Yeah, that was no good.
And actually, we've had one on the community page, haven't we? Who was it that posted theirs dressed as a snowman?
It was Julie. And she had it for Christmas, she says, a few years ago. And it was made out of some kind of gourd. So yeah, we could potentially, instead of making a birdhouse, make like a little decoration, perhaps especially with my kind of tiny ones,
smaller ones,
would be quite good. Yeah. But
it was beautiful.
It was really cool. Yeah,
it was, and it made me quite excited to see that one had actually done it, and 2 that she's had it for a few years and it's still okay, because that is what we're promised, that when they dry, they almost become wooden and that they will last for many years. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. So thank you for sharing that, Julie.
What about bargains of the week, Claire?
Well, I think we all know what my bargains of the week are going to be. We'll rewind a little bit and talk about meeting Jane again at the local Blue Diamond Garden Centre. And, it's another daft thing, really, because when we went to look around the shop, I knew I was going to go and look at bulbs. I kept saying to her while we were sitting there having a coffee and a lemon meringue pie, are we going to look at the bulbs? Do you want to look at the bulbs? Because normally they're inside, and they don't. This particular Blue Diamond, they're actually outdoors in the garden bit because it's not quite so big. So all of the all of the Christmas stuff is inside, and they keep them. It's undercover, but it's outside in the garden area. So I knew we had to make that visit out there. And I was like, are we going to go and look at the bulbs? Are we going to look at the bulbs? And Jane said yes. And I was, do you want a basket? She's like, no, we'll share a basket. And I'm already thinking, well, we can't share a basket. I'm going to be filling this basket. Well, I filled the basket. Then I went to get one of those trolley pull-along baskets. Still not enough. And then I went to get a trolley. It was one of the smaller trolleys, not a great big deep thing. Well, I filled the trolley. And I mean, I don't know how many bags I actually bought. I'll probably be getting those out in my video later on in the week. But I have brought a few into here to show you. So just to get you an idea of the absolute bargains on offer at the moment. These are marked up at $5.99. I paid £1.50 for these. That is 30 gladioli bulbs.
Oh, I love gladioli.
And they're the smaller ones. They're a dwarf gladioli, and they're winter hardy gladioli as well.
I only learnt this year is that you can have gladioli that you plant for spring bulbs rather than summer bulbs. In fact, because I have some bulbs behind me too, I believe I've got some in there.
Brilliant.
But carry on, sorry.
Well, I have lots and lots of packets of these. So this is 20 narcissus. They didn't have any big daffodils. They had all of the normal tete-a-tete narcissus. These are down to $1.99.
Wow.
And I
From
have bought
$7.99.
Yeah, I have bought many packets of those, and the bulbs are beautiful. And I'm guessing that they're selling them off a little bit earlier now because a lot of them are starting to shoot because it's so mild. I guess they're responding to the weather, aren't they? And then
Are
I
these
also
for the
bought
orchard.
Yes, so I have many bags of these, and some will be going in other places, but there's enough to go around all 13 trees on the main orchard.
Wow, you did buy a lot.
I did buy a lot. Yes. And then I bought a couple of different types of alliums. So look at these white ones here.
Oh, lovely.
They're beautiful, and they're reduced again £1.50 from $5.99, 25 bulbs. And then I've got these pink ones as well because I've got loads of the purple sensation, so I bought these ones. And again, $1.99. There's only 8 bulbs in them, but they are 8 super size bulbs.
And they can be expensive, those
are
ones,
expensive. I think all alliums are, aren't they? And then I bought quite a few different irises and crocuses. These are a dwarf iris, and I chose all of the varieties that naturalise. So some of the crocuses weren't naturalising crocuses, some were. So I chose, as much as they're a bargain, I'm looking at them as an investment as well. But what I really wanted to show after all of this waffle is that they, in this Blue Diamond, sell these bags of things here. And I thought these were a really good idea. So they do them in pink, purple, white, and this violet. And this is a mixed set of bulbs so that you can grow your own sort of garden of bulbs. And I thought these were absolutely beautiful to have all of the different varieties in there.
So they all complement each other, and you can, you don't have to worry. You can just plant them all together, and you know that it'll be a nice display.
Basically, chuck them in. So and it's so that you can obviously, if you see it, so you can basically grow your own spring bouquets.
And
is the idea?
From £15 to $3.75. Bargain, Claire.
Oh yes, I didn't tell you the price. Yeah, $3.75 for all
you
those.
Didn't
and
even
I bought
look at
2
the price,
packets
whatever.
of these. I didn't know at that point.
I can just imagine you pulling them all off the shelves.
It was pretty much a trolley dash. By the time I got to seeing these, and I hadn't noticed these, Jane had picked up ones that were actually labelled as spring bouquets, but they were a very similar thing to this. And she picked hers up. And I was like, what's that? Where is it? Find it me. And it was, I mean, you can't go wrong with that as a bargain, can you? So I've bought 2 packets of these to go either side of the polytunnel bed out the front. So yeah, I have got a lot of bulbs to plant. A lot of bulbs to plant.
And I have a whole Sainsbury's bag full of them that I've been taking up and down to the plot. And then I've just had another delivery, if you can see who from there.
Gracie.
Literally, we're just setting up. And I said to Claire, I've got a delivery scheduled, Claire. It might be in the middle of recording, but it came literally just as we were about to hit record. So I've got a full box of bargain bulbs down there as well. And yeah, I've now got to find time and space to put them all in. I'm not too worried. I have planted bulbs very late before, like January late, and they've still been fine. Although I am shocked that we're already this far into December.
I know.
It felt like I had so much time. And I think compared to last year, when during this time I was moving plots, so it's very busy every weekend and there was lots to do, and that's where my focus was. So this year I kind of went into autumn thinking, I've got loads of time, I can just potter about and do the bits. But the weather has been so poor that it's been hard to do just the little jobs that you would be doing in preparation for winter, let alone starting on some of the bigger jobs that you want as your winter projects. And that's our main event for this week, is to talk about winter projects.
That was a smooth lead into the main event, Kerry. Smooth.
Thank you. It's like I rehearsed it. Now, I think the first thing to say is that there is a difference between winter jobs and winter projects. Like there's a distinction to be made there. And I feel like people in the community page were making that distinction as well. Although then I was also thinking what is a job to one person might be a project to another person.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily, it's more individualized, because there's lots and lots of jobs that I still clearly need to get done. And they are different to me than the projects. Like the jobs are the things that are on my to-do list. Every time I go down to the plot, plant garlic, plant garlic, plant garlic. That's my job list. But my winter projects are the things that it's not even clear that they might need more time. It's that I need to get my head around them. Like there are decisions that need to be made or prep that needs to be done before I can get on with it. And it just feels like a bigger thing that I need to work myself up for. Is that a distinction that you would make about projects?
Yeah,
jobs?
For me, I mean, I've got winter projects from last year that I never got around to doing because one, I didn't get them done in winter, and then it got busy during the growing season. So to me, a winter project is a job that I'm going to get done when all of the winter gardening jobs that are genuinely prepping the actual gardening side for next year are done. And if I've got all of those done in time and I've got some time before crazy March and spring comes around, then obviously I'm going to get these jobs done. And I mean, they need doing, but they're the kind of jobs that if you end up putting them off to a summer job, you can do.
Yeah.
It's the incidentals, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, all the things that are more infrastructure wise, because we had a few people sort of talking about, I think Brandon was talking about putting up his shed, because he's on a new plot, isn't he? And so there's clearly a lot of work that needs being done there. And you want a shed and things. And I assume Brandon thinks like next year, that's an essential to have a kind of shed on the plot. So it might be that it's like something you feel you really do need to do over winter, but it is one of those more structural things rather than, like you're saying, the prepping kind of things. Yeah. I mean, clearly everybody knows that my winter project is
Can I guess?
Go on. I mean, I gave a hint there, but
you did. I'll take a wild stab that you're going to glaze some greenhouses. One, 2, 3.
I could. I might. But then I've been saying that for an awfully long time. It's really funny how this is kind of spiraled from my old plot as well, where I had a greenhouse on my old plot that only ever got 6 panes of glass into it. And then when I gave that greenhouse to my cousin when we moved plots, she immediately glazed that greenhouse. She just like went and bought the glass and did it. I was like, oh yeah, it can be done. I have done the hard bit of like sourcing the glass and going to pay for it and transporting it, because transporting greenhouse glass is a dangerous game. And I've got it all safely in the places where I need it, because I've got the greenhouse on the allotment plot to finish. I've got my greenhouse in the home garden, which has had missing panes for many, many, many years. And I've got the new lean-to greenhouse at the back of the garden, which is the one that, it has glazing on the roof when we put up the frame.
Of course it does. You seem to be very good at glazing a roof, and then that's it.
You know why, Claire? Because I can't reach to do the roofs.
Because Mark does that for you.
And when we did the one at the back of the garden, the lean-to one, and he glazed the roof part, I helped. And he said, shall we carry on tomorrow and come back, and shall we do these bits? And I'm like, no, I can do those. I can do the sides. Have I done those sides, Claire?
Well, there's a very big difference between you can do those sides and you will do those sides.
But I didn't feel like I could ask him for any more help when that's clearly something that I could do on my own.
I find it funny because I wouldn't start glazing them at all unless I was going to finish glazing them, because the thought of the wind blowing through and popping out the panes that you've put in would put me off from doing it. So, because as you've just said, it doesn't take that long once you've started. So I would just carry on until it was done. But that's me. That's just
I think it was the stalling, because I had to go and get the glass. So this is in particular for the one on the plot, because that's the one that's probably most at risk from having damage. But the way the wind blows across the plot is actually that's the side that's fully glazed. So the wind hits that and it's fine. It'll just kind of woof around the edges and over the top. And it's the other side that's got more missing in the side bits. And so, and also putting the doors on, I find that a bit tricky. I'll probably ask Mark for help with putting the doors on. And I'm saying this as somebody who glazes a greenhouse by simply shoving glass into the frame and not doing the careful work that you did when you put up your secondhand greenhouse, which was put all the beading, the rubber beading around the edges and doing a bang up job. I will do the bodge job. It just gets the job done in the quickest amount of time possible.
Hey, if it gets the job done.
One of the other things is that it's connected to a larger job, particularly the one in the greenhouse, in the garden at the back, the lean-to one, because in order to put that up, I painted the shed and I took the door off. I was doing well last year with the projects.
You were?
I mean, once the season gets started, it's hard to, because everything else gets so busy, doesn't it? But anyway, I was doing well. I'd got the door off again, because the idea is that I'll have a greenhouse that leads straight into the potting shed. So it's a lovely idea, Claire.
It's a beautiful idea.
Will it ever come to fruition? So I had to empty the shed, because once the greenhouse was on the front of it would be difficult for getting things in and out. Yeah. So I needed to make decisions on what was going to go in. So everything came out of the shed. I made the frame. My bicycle went back in, and the little table that I will be potting on and that sort of thing. Everything else, all the junk that I had been keeping in that shed, is still at the back of the garden. Now, I don't show the back of the garden very much on my videos anymore.
Can't think why.
Well, I'm going to be brave, in part because I know it can help other people to see that we also have messy areas.
We do.
So here is some footage of the back of my garden, how it looks now, precisely now. I shan't do any tidying. I'll just take it as it is, because I think once something becomes a dumping ground, it continues to be a dumping ground, and it will just get worse and worse. What you only have to put a couple of pots down on the floor, and you blink your eye, and then suddenly, every piece of rubbish that you might have created over the season is in that spot. So it has got a little bit out of hand. And I think that's my issue. And this is why it makes it quite a big project, is because not only have I got to glaze that lean-to, I've also got to tidy that entire bit. And probably by this time of year, I would have done the pruning back there, the cutting back of the hedges and things like that. Yeah. Of course, none of that has been done because I can't get to those spaces. So yeah, I've got other projects, but that I think is my biggie for this winter, and it does need to be done. How about you, Claire?
I have quite a few projects to do this winter, and I think the biggest one that I really want to get done, which is going to be tricky to get done simply because of the wet ground, is landscaping outside the wash house. And it's been on the agenda since I'd finished all of the summer planting. It was a job that I was planning to do over summer as soon as the plot was finished, and you've got that lull where you're waiting for things to harvest. And then obviously my mother-in-law went into hospital, and our time was stretched in other ways, and it just was not high on the priority list. And it looks like you. It looks, and not like you. I was going to say it looks like you, an absolute mess, but I didn't mean that you look an absolute mess. I meant like the back of your garden.
And everything, Claire. Go on.
I could just hear what was going to come out of my mouth when I said that. But like you, these things breed, don't they? So the area looks worse because I've let it go now. So we'd cleared it of weeds, but I didn't put any membrane or anything down. And I think to myself, why didn't I just put the membrane down? Because the weeds have grown up. So it looks a bigger project than it actually is. But the main thing is I need to dig there before I can landscape. So Duncan needs to take the top layer of soil off, because I have a lot of hardcore to put down and crushed limestone, because I am putting pavers down on there. Yes, I am putting pavers down on there. My winter project is going to be me trying to create a square of patio with pavers. And I've been watching YouTube videos. I kind of know how you're supposed to cut them, but I'm scared. So I'm just going to go for a basket weave pattern, and I'm just going to keep going until I make a square. That's my plan. I am only making a square or a wide path. I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to just have a long, thin path that then goes round to the door of the wash house as well, or whether I'm going to or even a T-shape, so a table will fit on it. I don't know. I've only got a pallet of block pavers.
But you got those block pavers ages ago,
months
didn't
ago.
you? You chosen the colour, you put up the fence. I mean, you do, really impress me, Claire, with your skills. She just whacked up a fence, just did it like that. And now she's just going to pave a patio.
Well, I mean, this is going to be a big project for me. What I need to buy is one of those things. I don't know what they're called, and I've even asked Duncan, and he's got this blank look over his face. He's very glazed. So it's a stale, and it has a little square rubber thing on the bottom, and you bang the floor it's the shape of 2 block pavers basically, and you just bang the floor, like tamp the floor down before you lay your pavers. And I don't know what it's called to find what it is to buy it. So if anyone knows what that is called.
Asked the question now.
Yes.
I thought you were going to say the wash house. Is there anything else that needs doing inside the wash house then? Or do you feel that's complete now?
The burning thing I want to do is actually light
you want to light the fire.
Yeah. And I've been trying to get someone to cast me a door for the fire so that it stops the flame or the smoke from licking up over the front of them. And that is a common thing with the design of them. Because if you look at old photos of wash houses, they always have a big soot line up the front of it. And obviously I don't want to be inhaling the smoke. People weren't so worried about ladies back in the Victorian era being in the smoke. See, I want to light the fire. But I have loads of jobs. So that's the wash house job. You've got your greenhouse job. What's number 2 on your list?
Well, I've actually done, because I was thinking then about the allotment, and there's nothing huge that I want to do on the allotment other than finishing glazing the greenhouse. No, I'm not getting a polytunnel.
No, archways.
Oh, I think what I'm going to do, when I was clearing away, I was so careful, because this would have been my daft thing, easily have thought that the kiwis that I've got on the plot were just spindly bits of stuff to be cut back. And I was like really aware, this is the kiwi, don't cut the kiwi. I was so close with the secateurs yesterday. Anyway, the kiwis were supposed to go over the arches that are now collapsed, but I have got a couple of obelisks in the home garden that the roses that I'm going to be moving are in. So I think I might take the obelisks down and have the kiwis grow up. So they'll be symmetrical down the side, either side of the path, the central path, and they can kind of weave around that. So that's my idea for those, because I do find that those obelisks, although they are also cheap, they're not just so much more sturdy than the arches, and they don't seem to suffer in the wind as much as the arches do. So that's my plan for those, but that's a little bit of more of a job. I really think what I'm going to do next year is just not bother with arches at all on the plot and do bamboo canes. Just do bamboo cane wigwams. And I'll have, so I've got some passifloras that are on the plot at the moment that are just all strung around the floor because they've lost their arch. So I might put some where they are and kind of wind those up, but then also have beams going up with the passiflora and stuff like that. So Mark's structures that he just made from bamboo canes have been fabulous this year. None of those fell down. They lasted the whole season. I've got hundreds of bamboo canes now. I don't know what I spent on bamboo canes when I was on the old plot. But I've got plenty. So, yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I do need to think about an arch for the home garden. And, yeah, I'm not sure. Is that a project for this year? It probably should be, because I've got another passiflora and my gorgeous clematis there, and they are going to need something to go up. The arches are still there in the home garden, but they're like on the wonk. So they're definitely coming out too. But, yeah, I'll have to think about that. But as what I was saying at the allotment, the only thing that I was really thinking is to finish glazing the greenhouse. But then I recalled that actually I've done one of my, I'm going to say winter projects. It was meant to be a summer project, which is to install the harvest irrigation system in the polytunnel. And because they sent me that in, I think it was beginning of August. And I obviously only put it in a couple of weeks ago. And I was starting to be a bit worried, really, to have held on to, this and not done my review of it for so long. But I really couldn't install it while all the tomatoes were in there. That would have been impossible. So I had to wait for the tomatoes to come out. And then we had such a mild autumn that the tomatoes stayed in far longer than they perhaps would have normally. So, but it got done, and it is fully done. it's working fabulously, and there's nothing else to do on that. So I'm really pleased to have been able to tick that one off the list. But yeah, I can't think of anything else on the allotment that really needs a project. Mark's got more projects than me, although I will benefit from his projects, because one of the things we're lacking on our set of plots is a social area. We have the inside of the greenhouse, which is great and so good over winter. It's so lovely to have that space when it's raining and you can just sit in there and have a cup of tea and be fairly warm and keep the dog in there while I'm working away. But in the summer, it's too hot, obviously, to sit in there. And there's a shady bit at the back of the plot where at the moment there's a lot of cardoons, and we want to kind of take those out, pave that area and have a space there, especially now with the puppies as well, because it'll be a good place to kind of pen them in. So they can be outside, but not running free because there are cats and foxes and everything on the plot. And we're not allowed that anyway. You're meant to be keeping your dogs on leads or contained. So yes, I think that's a project for Mark, if he's listening, and I will benefit from.
It sounds a good project to have. I mean, my other big project that I keep putting off is that, and I know I've spoken about it before, is that there's going to be an archway going from the greenhouses to the side of the polytunnel. And that's why I moved the compost bins that were up there to start with. And we want to put an archway in the hedge to make it a bit more of a feature. And we want to kind of have another way of bringing the vegetable garden into the other garden. So it's almost like a secret door to go into the vegetable garden. And it's just such a long way to carry things as well. When you're walking around with your seedlings from one area to the next, it would make more sense to be able to just nip through there. And for my sister and Emily when they come as well. So yeah, that's going to be nice, which then leads me into the fact that all this time when we first put those greenhouses on that area of the lawn, we bought enough slabs to put a slab stepping stone path across the grass to the greenhouses. Still haven't done that yet. And we bought enough slabs to go all the way through to the hedgeway. So it went to the vegetable garden and, the path led to it. Still haven't done that. So yeah, that's another one to do. And
so you've not only got to make a patio, you've also got to make quite a long path then from your greenhouses to the plot. Do you have to actually cut a hole in the hedge to get through then? So you've got to cut through the hedge.
Yes and no. So the hedge used to be a gate there. So there used to always be a gate out of the garden there years ago. And then it got sort of rails put across it. And the hedge has been slow, because it's a holly hedge, so it grows really slowly at that area. It's been slowly filling in the gap. I mean, it was 15 foot wide. It was a huge farm gate. So there is a gap there, and we can cut the rails and there's some stock fencing there. But there is one bush that's going to be in the way that will have to be either seriously pruned or dug up. But no, it'll be a fairly neat job. But we've got to build the archway, because we're putting in a bespoke size archway. And that's where my rose bushes are going, which are still awaiting planting out.
So the holly will come how close to the arch then, in order to be able to get the roses in the ground to go around? Are you going to pull back the sides?
Well, I'm hoping that I can intertwine the roses through it. So there'll be a bit of a gap and the roses will come on the front of it, but sort of wind themselves both sides of it. And then obviously go up and then over the top a bit more. But yeah, I kind of want the roses to sit in front of the archway more than...
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Behind it. Yeah, I'll tie them to it to climb up the front of it and kind of hide the archway a little bit more. Otherwise, you're right, the holly hedge will just grow and crowd them out. And they are well over 6 foot deep as well. They are huge hedges.
Almost a tunnel then to go through into the plot then.
That's what I'm hoping.
That'd be lovely. Yeah.
I'm hoping that works. But it will also cast a bit more sun in towards the beds, like the mini polytunnel that's sitting right behind the hedge. There's loads of little projects. I have some vegetable beds to build. I was sent some metal beds. Oh gosh, it's well over 12 months ago, isn't it? And I still haven't put these metal raised beds up. And to be honest, there's been that many changes to the vegetable garden in that time. I'm not entirely certain where they're going to go now. But we'll find somewhere. We will find somewhere. So I'll have somewhere to put these.
When they sent them, you had a really clear idea of that they were going to be carrot beds and you knew where they were going to go and stuff. And then obviously the plot extension and the wash house, it changed all the plans, didn't it?
Everything changed. Yeah, everything changed, definitely.
Well, my other area for projects, and I'm looking out at it now, is my front garden, because obviously I took the raspberry canes out and now I have this gap, which the cats in the neighbourhood absolutely loving, Claire, because obviously it's a nice big patch of bare ground that's been disturbed. I was sitting here working the other day and a cat came on and I looked out and I was like, what are you doing? It was digging a little hole, rapped on the window. I was like, no, like this. And it just stood and stared at me while it pooped in the hole that it made and then covered it all up. So I'm thinking when I go out there and do any work, I'm going to have to rake over that area first just to see what's hidden. So I'm not digging anything and having little surprises in there.
Grim.
Anyway, that was beside the point. So I've got this area in the front garden now, and the front garden as a whole probably needs a little bit of work. There's some grass that's kind of taken over in there, but that's more of a job than a project. I think the project part of it is going to be, well, this is your fault, Claire. It's going to be planting roses. I really do love the idea of having roses in the front garden. So as I said last week, I have asked for a David Austin rose, Emma Bridgewater one for Christmas. So I'm hopeful that will be the first rose that goes in. I am slightly tempted to move some of the roses that I have in the back garden, which are a bit crowded, and put those in the front garden as well. So that could be part of the project. I mean, I've got those ones that do need moving, but that's a climber and a rambler, and they're not really suitable. I want tea roses. And so that, but also I still want to maintain the permaculture food forest type thing that I've got going on there. So I feel like it needs a few more perennial vegetables in there. So I'm thinking about what might go well in that area. Got my Tortondine kale out there, but I'm loath to put any more brassicas because the caterpillars just, I don't have much pest pressure in that front garden. There's no slugs. I've got a couple of dahlias out there that do wonderfully. But caterpillars have really taken hold. So I don't necessarily want to put brassicas, and not necessarily tubers that need digging up. So I'm going to have to think. If anybody's got any ideas of what I can put out there, I'd love to hear. So I think those are my 3 projects. What about you? Any additional ones before I go to the ones in the community?
Well, you've given me one more, haven't you? So whilst you're blaming me for your front garden, Duncan has watched your harvest video and he wants me to have some sort of irrigation in the polytunnel. I don't want it. I'm fighting tooth and nail because I don't want it. But he does look after the vegetable garden when my daughter and I, or our daughter and I go to Silverstone. And he does not want to be watering like he was this year. So I have been looking at some tap timers and there's a few out there. I mean, Harvest do one, but theirs isn't solar powered. And I'm quite liking the idea of a solar powered one so that it charges the batteries and having a tap timer, which will then mean that we're going to dig into the polytunnel to have tap in the back of the polytunnel. And I'll just be having soaker hoses on there as well.
You have to dig under the path.
We're going to dig under the path,
going to the on the side.
We're going to go into the back of the polytunnel because the water pipe runs from mine to my sister's plot. So we can tee off it and go in through the back door of the polytunnel. And then I want to go under the paths. So I don't want to see the pipes leak across the paths because that's one of the reasons I don't have irrigation, because, you know, there's form over function and function over form and all of this lot, and aesthetics come high on my list. So I didn't want to see irrigation pipes across the pathways in the back of the polytunnel. But I think we can dig the paths up for the solid pipes and just come up the side of the beds and go into the beds. And because they're L-shaped at the back, actually it would make more sense for many reasons to go in through the back of the polytunnel, and there's less way for the pipes to go as well. So it could be a project. I mean, it's not a desperate project. It's one of those projects, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it obviously before I plant tomatoes in there. But it is a consideration. Duncan is very much for it. And it's because we have mains water pressure and we have exceedingly high mains water pressure. It's very simple for me to just have a tap timer on soaker hoses. I have more than enough pressure to have as simple a setup as possible. And obviously, I know that's not going to work for people on allotments. It's only really for gardeners that garden at home with hose pipes and things.
Although we know my water pressure at home isn't great.
No,
maybe that should be my winter project, is to sort out how I'm watering my home garden, because my hose game is poor. Well, I was thinking about my polytunnel though, and the irrigation system in there, because like you, when the tomatoes come in, I need a bit of a different setup. So I want to drop the hoses and put the drippers in for the tomatoes. But I was thinking I could get a longer pipe and just have one pipe go all the way around with the drippers on, which would leave a free nozzle for zone 2 where I could put a hose on that one, and then I could go out of the polytunnel and water there as well. I mean, another project that I'd forgotten about, it's not really a project, is I'm having a second IBC tank delivered. So I need to make space for that next to the existing one. I think it would just be a case of clearing the rubbish out and perhaps putting some pavers down just to level it, maybe raise it a little bit onto a pallet as well. It's a bit hard to raise too much with IBCs next to a polytunnel because, of course, the guttering on it is pretty low. So you need it lower than the guttering to get the water to drop into it. But I think it could go up a little bit than the other one. And then if I did need to, I could get the tap and go under it as well with the tap. But yes, I'd forgotten that that's something I've got to do as well. We're giving each other more projects. That wasn't the idea of this.
No.
Oh dear. Right. Well, we might get more when we go through some of the community posts as well. So now this one is like you. So Smells Like Dirt said they're going to make a permanent pathway. I'm not sure if this was on an allotment or in a garden, but a permanent pathway. So that's similar to what you're doing around your greenhouses. Now, there are a few people who are talking about having new plots and things like that and what you need to do for those. So one of them was securing them. Jane is trying to secure her second plot. So good luck, Jane. Brandon, we already mentioned, got the new plot and is putting the shed on. I thought this was interesting and I could relate to was Joanne and Martine both said about that they had completed their first year on a plot. And I think when you have a first year on the plot, you're driven by excitement anyway, and just the novelty of it all. And you just want to get things in the ground and growing. And I think it's then in that second year that you start thinking about your layout a little bit more, what worked and what didn't, and what structures you might want to put in place. And both of them seem to be sort of indicating that. I felt that on my old plot. I don't feel it so much having had this first year on my new plot because I'd learned a lot from the old plot. So I think I set it up more from the beginning how I wanted it with where the paths were and things like that. I was, if Joanne and Martine want some advice, one of the things that I'm really chuffed that I did when I started this plot is put lots of pathways in. Going back to Smells Like Dirt and putting the additional tiny pathways in the bigger beds so that there was always somewhere to step and you weren't feeling like you were compacting the soil. Now, Trude's job over winter is to dig out a conifer. I'm just like, no, don't do it. I don't know how big this conifer is. So it's a thuja. Is that how you say it? Thuja?
I think so, yeah.
And I had conifers in my back garden where all my berry bushes are now. Used to be a hedge of conifers. And I had someone come in and they just took them all off at the base. And I mean, even now, looking at the stumps, and they're rotting down now, but conifer takes a while, doesn't it, to rot down? And I look at those and because I plant round them. I was like, oh, there's the stump. I'll put the plant next to it.
I'll hide it this summer.
Yeah. But I can't imagine even trying to dig those out. I hope she's got some help and machinery.
Well, actually, Trude is, because obviously we're recording on a Monday, as we often say that this video obviously is going out on Wednesday, and Trude was having carpal tunnel surgery today. So get well soon, Trude. So she will not, I hope not, be tackling that job anytime soon because she needs to rest.
Recover, yeah. Oh, wishing you a speedy recovery then, Trude. Okay, what else did we have? I have to read my handwriting, sorry. Emily was making a new dahlia bed. Now, this is a project I did do this year, was make my dahlia beds, which is now, again, Claire, leading to more projects. What I do need to do this year is still sort out the beds that are in front of the dahlia beds. So the dahlia beds I'm happy with, they're mulched. I'm happy with them as they are now. If no dahlias come up next year, It will need a rethink. But the beds in front of it I've mentioned the roses coming out. They haven't been massive performers. And I think what I'm now going to do is put my blueberry bushes into those. So I've got some ericaceous compost. Did I mention this last week? I'm going to put it in. So that's another project that I do need to do. And I think transplanting blueberries from pots into beds at this time of year will be fine while they're dormant.
Once they're dormant. Yeah. Definitely.
So good luck with your dahlia bed, Emily. I highly recommend. Well, we both do, don't we? Because we've loved our dahlia beds.
Them. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this one, Jeanette was making compost bays.
Oh, vital job.
Yes. And it's made me think about my compost. I've got the bays. I have not taken care of the compost that's in it. I've not turned it this year, in part because the ones in the back garden can't get to because of all the rubbish that's up there. But the one I feel I've been doing okay at the allotment in layering. I've done a lot of good layering this year. So when I do turn it or move it, I'm hoping that it's going to have made good compost. But I'm still adding. I still continue to layer because I haven't got a spare bay. So that is something I kind of need to think about. And then Kerry was saying that she wasn't so much, she'd kind of done the prep work for winter and now she could do the nice thing of building insect houses and bird boxes. And I thought, oh, that is lovely. If we didn't give ourselves these big projects to do over winter, we could do lovely things like that. And actually there were a few people who said, you know what, this winter is a time of rest. And, we garden all through the season and perhaps a little bit of recuperation is not a bad thing. So Liz, Sue, John were saying it's wet and miserable outside. Stay indoors. And was it Liz or Sue who said read gardening books instead? Read the seed catalogs.
I think I replied to one of those comments to say, or watch people that are daft enough to be getting wet outside for your entertainment.
Because we still need to make content, don't we, Claire? So we need to do winter projects. Otherwise, we'd just be filming ourselves indoors reading books. And I don't know who would watch that. Okay, so I think we've got time for a couple of viewers' questions. And I've put these two together because I think they complement each other. So Kay Penrose wanted to know if we were conducting any experiments in the garden next year. And David, Put Up North David, wanted to know if we were going to be breaking any rules next year.
Oh, that David, he's a bit of a rebel. He'll definitely be breaking some rules next year. I guess the experiments, I've already mentioned them. I have the two beds either side of an archway. One has been dressed with wood chip and leaves, and the other one has been prepared how I would normally prepare my beds, which is with some compost and manure on top. And I'm going to be growing exactly the same crops in both of those beds to experiment between whether the manure or the wood chip gives me better beds. For me, the experiment really revolves around does it matter what organic matter it is, as long as it's organic matter. So I want to see how they do. And I guess it's almost another experiment that also then ties into David's question, is because I am planning to plant sweet corn in the same bed that I planted it in this year as well. So
rule breaker.
It's an experiment to see whether they do okay being planted in the same bed again the second year, but also it's very much a rule breaking as well. But that bed just works out so well for something that's so dense and so tall. It doesn't cast too much shade in areas that I don't want it to cast, because if I put it a bed further back, then the fruit tree the little patio fruit tree on the end of the plot is going to be in shade all year round. So for me, that bed does work the best for that particular project. So I don't think I break many rules. I don't feel like I am much of a rule breaker really. So I think that's about it for me. That's as rebellious as it gets, on top of obviously experiment and a rule break is leaving the dahlias in. So we'll find out if that one worked in spring.
That's an
but no, I don't have any more than that. What about you,
Well, all
Kelly?
I do is break rules. I don't follow any rules, do I? I know
you
the
beat
rules.
to your own drum.
Yeah, I know the rules. I tell people the rules, and then I continue to do whatever feels right at the time, or whatever I have time for. And I guess that's the restriction, really. I did think it was interesting what you said in your video about the 2 experiment beds, that they'd both had the same thing in as well before. So
Yes.
the previous year they'd grown the same crops, and I thought, yeah, that's good. That's reducing those variables, because I do experiments pretty often. I set myself up these experiments, testing compost and things like that. And I'm always like aware of the variables, and that, because when you're gardening, so many things can be variables. And the one thing I did think about your 2 beds was the sun. And does one of those beds get more sun than the other? Or would that be pretty negligible?
It shouldn't be that much different. The sun is so high, it's south facing, there's nothing else sheltering them. So I think that side of it will be quite negligible. So I'm quite looking forward to doing that experiment. I do feel, as you're pointing out though, really, that the beds probably should be side by side, not each side of the archway, but I don't really have the availability for that already because of what I've already got planted in those beds. So that's as close as I'm going to get to trying that experiment.
I did the bed experiment this year, which was the Charlotte potatoes that were commercially bought and the Charlotte potatoes that I'd saved from the year before, I had them in one bed with just a strip down the middle to divide the sides. Everything else was treated in exactly the same way, and they would have got the same kind of amount of sun. And surprise, surprise, it was the saved potato seed that did better. So I'm really looking forward to trying that again next year. I've saved some of those Charlotte potatoes again. And so they'll be acclimatized into my soil each year. Hopefully we'll get a good crop, because we didn't get a good crop of the main ones. No. I don't even know if that might be a rule I'm going to break next year, is I'm just going to grow Charlottes, and I'm going to say my Charlottes are my first, second and main crop potatoes. I'm just going to harvest them at different times.
I don't blame you.
Anyway, I think that's everything. So a reminder about our giveaway, because if you were like, giveaway? What giveaway? Have I missed it? No, you haven't. It's still ongoing. You can still win a pair of prunarbos. In fact, the competition doesn't close until the 14th of December at midnight, so plenty of time to still enter. We'll be announcing the winner in next week's episode, so on the 17th of December. And actually, the big news here is that you have an opportunity to have a second entry. So if you comment on this week's video, you get a second entry into the draw, okay? So you want to have commented on last week's to get your first entry. And then this week you get 2 entries, 2 maximum per person, but 2 entries into the draw, and you could be winning some prunarbos, which we're very excited about, aren't we, Claire? We can't wait to announce that winner.
We are.
Yeah. Any teasers then to end the episode, Claire? You gave us a little one earlier on.
I did. I mean, we're an hour and a bit in and I can't remember what that teaser was already.
I can't remember either.
Oh, I'm going to guess that there's going to be a lot more bulbs planted in this week's episode. But
maybe it was the gardening, the going to the garden centre with Jane was the teaser.
You ask me this every week. Some weeks I have a good plan in attack, and some weeks I just have no plan. And I think next week is video that's coming is going to be the no plan, because I don't know what I'm going to do. So no further teasers. It's a no plan, and we'll see what happens when I get the camera. It might be
dependent on weather and things like that. Anyway,
absolutely.
Well,
what about you?
I've already filmed, so I'm prepared to say what my video next week is going to be about. And I'm actually harvesting something a bit special in next week's video, something a bit special and unusual. And I'm also clearly getting festive in next week's video as well. Now, for Sow Chatty next week, we're doing our year in review. So it's a bit of a biggie. We've got to think right back to the beginning of the year, Claire, and be jogging our memory. This is when it was good to be organized and have a diary to look back on. So, yes, and I'll put some polls up on the community page and questions so viewers can share what they think of their growing year this year as well. Okay. It was lovely as always to speak with you, Claire.
I've always enjoyed the conversation. I'm already panicking about next week because I struggle to remember what we've talked about at the start of an individual episode, never mind at the start of the season. But I'm looking forward to next week. Please do continue to enter for the Prunarbo giveaway. We cannot wait to draw that next week. Really excited for next week's episode. So look after yourself and we'll catch you then. Bye.